ideally, when you guys are doing it, you're going to be doing big batches. You're going to be doing it with these plastic fibers. And so it's like you can be rolling cigarettes. Joints, you know? Beautiful things. And it'll be like this where when you finally stand on it, it doesn't want to budge. And then you know you're good. Right? If it's not budging, then it's a solid mass. And then one thing I can't show you here because again we're not using the right material. The next test you'll be doing is picking it up and trying to rip it apart. Here, because I've got lots of like particles instead of like long fibers, it'll be easy to rip it apart. But in your situation where you're going to be using like the proper cob material, you're going to grab one end, he's going to grab one end, and you guys are going to be like yanking it, and you're going to be like, fuck, I can't seem to get this thing apart. Some people have even had to take machetes when they try to make smaller pieces and try to cut the fibers so that they can use those smaller pieces. And that's ideally what you want, right? You want it to be, and that's what makes cob better than adobe, is that, you see how the adobe is? You see, this is also a bad, like I didn't make this. And this is not as good as my house, because in my house, you can see it, they use the regular clay and it's all just broken up, eh? I came in and I would like tap it all. You can see here it's like, you know, it's a lot more solid than this thing. It's just crumbling and stuff. But you can still, for both of them, you can see where an adobe ends, and the mortar, and then adobe, and the mortar, and adobe. So it's like a Lego.
What is the mortar made out of?
The same thing the adobe's made out of.
Just water?
Nope. Just not sun-dried.
Yeah, air-dried. Yeah. And it's not, most of the adobes aren't sun-dried either, because I usually do them under a roof.
Because it rains a little bit.
So what's the difference between the brick and the mortar?
A brick is a solid piece, and the mortar is what sticks it together.
Oh, so the brick is the one you form in that frame,
Yeah, exactly.
and the mortar is just like loose.
Yeah, it's because like, if you all made out of loose mud, it would start to slump.
Yeah.
Right, so you want a brick and mortar, and even then, you probably only get about this high, and you call it a day. Because if you add any more, you just end up pushing all the mortar out. And you kind of see how the mortar is thinner.
Way thinner.
You gotta let it dry and form.
You gotta let it dry first, and that's the beauty of cob.
How
Cob
long
will
does
still
it typically take to dry?
Depends on the weather system.
Yeah.
And the cob will slump a bit
Up
too.
here, probably a week.
At this rate, yeah. Well, yesterday you probably could have tried.
Yeah, right. That Ecuadorian sun, man, when it kicks out, man, it's
Yeah, well, why did you
got
see
some
all those
juice.
clouds forming? You know, we were in fog because as soon as daylight hit, it just started to all evaporate.
Yeah.
Right. But like the thing about cob that makes cob different from this than the adobe is that cob is a solid mass. You know, like you can look at this guy. This guy's made out of, you can see the plastic fibers. You know.
Yeah.
This is made out of cob.
And it looks way more solid than
It is
the
way
bricks.
more solid.
Yeah.
It is super solid because you can't tell where one piece of cob ends and the next one begins.
Yeah.
You know, you stick them together and then you start pushing those fibers from one into the other and wrapping them in until the fibers are all like this. And when it dries, it's a solid mass.
So that was all formed by hand. You didn't
Yeah,
like
you just
bricks
kinda-
for that.
No bricks.
It looks beautiful. It does look like a piece of art, like a
Yeah, it's a
like a
sculpture.
vase. Yeah, it's a sculpture.
It's a sculpture. And that's the difference. Is with adobes, you're making a brickwork, you're like making Legos. And with cob, you're making a sculpture. Yeah? Okay, so we're going to make our sculpture here.
I'm sorry, Adobe. Warm and comfy. Oh.
So you know it's good when you can stand on it and it doesn't want to sink too much.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm sorry, baby. I gotta move you. I know, I'm so mean. I'm the worst human ever.
Okay, so if you come over here, I just want to give you an idea, right? Oh, I'll bring my shitter. I'll bring my bucket.